Alright, so this is something I didn't ever really plan on doing necessarily, but I do know that it's possibly other people, out there in search of other people that probably can relate to what they're going through or been through or whatever the case is, because I remember I was in that position. So I decided, why not go ahead and kind of give people, that may be following along with me with the videos and along my journey and so on and so forth. Why not give people insight on how I got to this point in my spiritual journey? So I will say that when I say spiritual journey, I am not talking about religion. I do not believe in religion. I do not believe in Jesus. I do not go to church. Anything that ties to religion, I want no parts of. But me not believing in Jesus and not believing in religion, to keep it in context, believing in God, yes, not necessarily in the same sense that Christians would believe in God, but believing in God, yes, just to keep it simple. Even though I don't use the term God unless I'm just talking to people and don't feel like explaining, how I operate, I use the term God. But as far as Jesus and all that, I don't believe in that at all. So I want to get that understood so people can have context, because some people don't separate spirituality and religion. Some people it's the same thing. For me, it's not. But I was raised in church. I won't say I was forced to go Monday through Sunday, like a lot of people were. But every Sunday, and then as I got older, it kind of tapered off to every other Sunday, so on and so forth. So I was raised up in church, and I was a firm believer, trying to live my life, the righteous way, which I still do. But the mind frame around the righteous way have switched to a better understanding. But at that time, trying to live the righteous way, trying to live a Christian type lifestyle, for the most part, even though I was doing some wrong to a certain extent, but nonetheless trying to live the Christian lifestyle. Well, even during that time, I always had a weird feeling about religion in itself, church, and so on and so forth. And I did a video about this, somewhat about this, a while ago, but it wasn't necessarily based on my spiritual journey, like stages and what a spiritual journey means, so on and so forth. So, going through that and having those feelings, but still in church and being so young, not understanding what are these feelings, but now older, it was me realizing that it was stages and it was things pulling on me. I just needed to answer to those things and look into some things, so on and so forth. But yeah, so once I actually started breaking away from the church, I would say maybe 20 or so, something like that. It would be around the same time I started my locks, which I think I started my locks around that time, which my locks are a part of my spiritual journey. And it's crazy because before getting locks, I had braids, and I would have people, asking me would I ever get locks, and I would always say, no, because at that time everybody was getting them, and I looked at it like everybody following the trend, and I'm not a person that ever went with trends, so I was against them from that standpoint, not anything else. But as time, went on and it got closer to me getting to the point of breaking away from the church, I just had this feeling of, locks is the way to go, from the spiritual standpoint of what they represent, so on and so forth. So that would explain my locks being, a part of my spiritual journey. But with my spiritual journey, I had hit a very, very dark time. Loss, lack of understanding. It was just a confusing time. But when I got fully committed to actually discovering what this is that I'm feeling, what's pulling me to this, once I got fully committed to it, I will say a lot of things started making sense. Now, that spiritual journey is nowhere near over, so don't get the impression that, oh, you get to a point and then boom, you there, because it's a ever evolving type thing. You got a lot of mental conditioning that you got to break away from, a lot of habits you got to break away from, a lot of understanding that you have to evolve into, a lot of things that hasn't been revealed to me at this point. And I've been on this spiritual journey as far as acknowledging it and knowing what it is, because I'd say my entire life has been a spiritual journey. But as far as putting forth effort towards it and having actual direction and knowing what I was doing, or at least attempting to find out what I was doing. I would say I've been on this journey for probably about 13 years, about as long as I've been growing my locks. And so it is very, very rejuvenating. All right, it's draining at the beginning because it's, like I said, it's a lot of confusion. But once you get on the journey and you start discovering other things, and this video is not to persuade anybody or tell you exactly what I did to discover those things, but I can give a few examples. And an example of that, along with my spiritual journey, is I switched my diet. I'm now vegetarian. Got a video about that. Possibly become vegan one day, but my outlook on that and the feeling that I was getting was I need a cleaner diet. All right, for my body to be the temple that it's supposed to be, I cannot consume or I cannot consume certain things, so on and so forth. So I started cleaning up my diet for a while. I stopped eating beef and pork. I was only eating chicken, fish, and turkey. I say I was doing that maybe about 5 years or so, something like that. And then I want to say 2017 may have been around the time that I went ahead and just cut out all meat. And like I said, it was just a feeling of, all right, you already done, made this change. Now go ahead and just cut everything else out because you know it's not good from you, from the standpoint of what I should be consuming to sustain my life, as opposed to things that I'm consuming that, were killing me slowly and so on and so forth. I won't get into that. But so that changed about me. Of course, your mentality changes, the way you move, the people you hang around, the things you're into, the things you're not into. And so I will say, with a spiritual journey, it is a lonely, lonely, lonely road. Lonely road. For a person like me, I'm cool with that because I'm a loner anyway. So it was right up my alley. But the thing that was hard was looking for people that I could resonate with, looking for people that I can get information from, looking for people that could relate to what it was that I was feeling and going through. And I could not find that except for certain people on social media. But social media wasn't good enough for me. I wanted that, in person. Never came around to it until, some years back, not too far back, but some years back, I started actually physically running into more people that resonated with me. But by the time that started happening, I wasn't no longer worried about running into those people because I knew, this journey is a journey that you're going to be on by yourself for the most part, because most of everybody that you come in contact with is going to believe in religion in some shape, form, or fashion. They're going to have a completely different thought process than you will. So it's going to be hard to find those people. You may lose friends. People may not respect what it is that you do and how you move about, your life, and, how your mentality is changing. So I lost, some people. I won't say a lot of people, because me being me, I was already who I was to a certain extent. Like the person I am now, I was still that same person back then. But I will say, to a certain extent, some people just can't rock with the aspect of not believing in religion because they can't separate God and religion. But yeah, all the way up until this point, it was the best decision that I could make, the absolute best decision. And it put me in a place of peace internally that I had never felt before, because throughout my life I had a lot of anger. But once I came in tune with myself and start, actually putting forth effort and, really diving into it, the internal peace came. Now, I'm not a person that smiles a lot, because I still have a lot of pain just based on not necessarily personal pain, but pain in the sense of me being connected to my people, black people, and what we go through, what our people been through, so on and so forth. So the more I got spiritually in tune with myself, the more pain that was revealed, and the more in tune I felt with, the people that came before me, ancestors, if you want to call it ancestors, just the people that came before. You get more in tune with that. And so yes, you feel good on the inside, but at the same time, you have a constant thing that's pulling on you. And so that's a motivating factor, as in me being the person that I am and what I'm about. That's why I conduct myself the way that I do, being the serious person that I am. it's because of that reason. So I know I kind of went on way longer than I expected to. This video probably be chopped up unless I just feel, hey, whatever, I just put it out there, and if people can relate, they'll watch it and, give feedback and say they relate. And I would love that if, whoever watches it, if you can relate, if you along your spiritual journey, if it's something I may be able to help you out with. I'm not telling you what to believe or whatever, but if it's something I can help you out with that I've experienced, I wouldn't mind talking to people about that. But regardless, leave your comments, like, subscribe, all that good stuff.